We are just about ready to start the NHL's 2024 Stanley Cup Final. Today we're going to preview the Oilers versus Panthers, and I'll give you my prediction on who wins the Stanley Cup, and that's coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have the Stanley Cup Final just about ready to start. It'll get started on Saturday night for Game 1. I'm recording this video the day before on the Friday in the afternoon. So hopefully at this point we've seen each team what they've gone through in the first 3 rounds to make it this far. Both teams are, I'd say, relatively healthy. I mean, a lot of players are banged up for sure and dealing with at least some minor stuff, but we're not aware of any, significant players that are going to have to miss time or anything of that nature. So at least that part's good. And I know a lot of us have been impatient waiting for the final to begin. They've had a week off pretty much. But at least from a health perspective, I hope it gets us some better hockey and it's hopefully worth the wait. So just to recap what these teams went through to get here. The Edmonton Oilers, of course, we know were one of the worst teams in the first month or two of the season until they made the coaching change, and even then it took a little bit, and once they got rolling, they were one of the best teams in the league. Of course, so, one of those stories, even if you get off to a bad start, I guess it's not too late, so to speak. You can't win the Stanley Cup early on in the season, but some people say you can lose it, and in some cases you can show that the Oilers are almost an exception to that. Not as deep into the years what we saw with St. Louis in 2018 when they were the worst team in the league around Christmas time. But, certainly got ahead of things a little bit more than they did. They've gone through the Los Angeles Kings for the 3rd year in a row. They had, I'd say, a good run, good scare from the Vancouver Canucks, but they managed to get through it. And then they went through the top team in the Western Conference, the Dallas Stars, who certainly is, one of the deepest teams and most well-built teams across the league as far as balance goes, strong defense, good offense, good goaltending, etc. The Florida Panthers, of course, making their second consecutive appearance now in the Stanley Cup Final, winning the East for the second straight year. This year they had a little bit of a different path to get there. Went through some of the same teams, though, including the Tampa Bay Lightning, their state rival and division rival. They went through the Boston Bruins and the New York Rangers. The Rangers, of course, were the NHL's top team. So the Oilers and the Panthers, they both took out the top team in their conference. Of course, they were, not like they were super low ranked or, a big time underdog, but they were certainly by the odds makers for the most part, not exactly expected to win and go as far as they did. Although the regular season doesn't always dictate what happens in the playoffs, and this is another prime example of that. Comparing the two teams, goaltending wise, you have to give an edge to Sergei Bobrovsky and the Florida Panthers here. Skinner has been better since he was pulled and they went to a Calvin Pickett for a couple games in the Canucks series, and he's been much better since he's come back. Still not to the level of Bobrovsky. Skinner's rocking a 2.5 goals against average, which would have been much higher earlier in the playoffs before he got pulled. But Bobrovsky's a 2.2, and a 908 save percentage for Skinner's is 897. So you can't help, but that's just the nature of it. Bobrovsky and Skinner's been good when he needs to be, but you still have to give Florida the edge. Defensively speaking, normally you'd have Florida having the edge here. And I think overall they might have some more players on that roster that are more well-known and have reputations for being stronger two-way players or stronger defending in their own end. Looking at their blue line, it looks to be a bit better. But this Oilers team, give them a lot of credit defensively. They have been so much better throughout the playoffs, and especially in the Dallas series and probably the second half of the Canucks series. They really finally all members, not only the D, but the forwards as well, committing to doing anything necessary to win, blocking shots, back checking hard, getting back. Like, this is a really strong team. And on the penalty kill, they've got a record now for consecutive penalties killed. They got the top PK in all the playoffs. And that goes to show for something. You're obviously your best penalty killer quite often has to be your goaltender, and he has been. At the same time, a lot of their forwards and D that play in that special teams unit has been top notch as well. So, like I said, normally I'd say Florida would have an edge defensively. I'm not so sure anymore. I honestly think they're going to be very evenly matched in that sense. The only difference is in the forward group. You got a guy like Alexander Barkov, one of the best 200-foot players and two-way players in the league, whereas the Oilers have some of the top offensive guns in the league, but they don't really have a player like Barkov. Their most comparable player wouldn't be anywhere near that skill set. So there is that. So I'll give an edge to Florida there, but I'm going to obviously, offensively speaking, there's a major edge to Edmonton. They've also got the best power play in the league, 37.3% in the playoffs. The penalty killing is clicking at 93.9% in the playoffs. The penalty kill on the Panthers side, 88.2, so it's been really good as well. But their power play, 23.3, so a huge difference there. So the Panthers, a major key for them is to stay disciplined and to stay out of the box. And that's something that I honestly don't have a lot of confidence in them in. They tend to be the team that's starting to scrums after the whistle. They like to agitate you. They like to get under your skin and run your goalie. Like, there's all kinds of things that they will do just to be... to try to walk the line but not cross it, but a lot of times they do cross it and they get in trouble for it. Like, they are a dirty team. I mean, I say that with the most love and respect in my voice. Like, you have to give it to them their due. They're not always dirty in a, like I said, over the line aspect. They like to try to get away with stuff, but because of that, they are a team that does lack discipline at times. So the Oilers can certainly take advantage of that and make them pay more than just about any other team they've ever played against here in these playoffs, if that happens. So at the end of the day, their PK has been good, but they haven't encountered this for a power play that's clicking at a phenomenal rate here. So, I mean, the Oilers also have the top 4 playoff scorers right now, with McDavid at 31 points, Leon Draisaitl at 28, Bouchard at 27, Nugent Hopkins at 20, Hyman's only a couple behind at 18, whereas the Panthers' top scorer right now, Matthew Tkachuk, has 19 points. So 4 Oilers have as many points or more points than Tkachuk, with Hyman being only one different. And you got Barkov and Verhaeghe at 17, Lundell and Reinhart at 12. Out of the 12 points Reinhart has, 8 of them are goals. So he's been good too, just in different ways. And Reinhart also an underrated two-way player as well. So he'll see a lot of time with Barkov. So the Oilers here, as much as you can say Barkov's been shutting down a lot of the other top teams, and he has, not taken away anything from that, but the way the Oilers can stack their lines is maybe he gets matched up against Leon or McDavid, but you can't stop them both. Their Oilers team, offensively speaking, are a lot deeper. The Florida Panther team is deep too, but if they're some of their top players, if they're out taking shifts against some of these top offensive guys, you're going to see them like best on best, and you're going to see them probably have more of an offensive, not more of a defensive role, you should say. So I do think, offensively speaking, you can't help but give credit and say Edmonton's stronger in that respect. Now, of course, if you've been following this channel, you've been following my predictions, you see I predicted the Oilers to win the Stanley Cup before the NHL season started. I stuck with them, even though they had a horrible start to the campaign. I stuck with them when I did my bracket at the very beginning of the playoffs. I didn't have them going against Florida. I had Florida losing in the conference final to the Hurricanes. That never happened. Carolina bowed out on the second round earlier than I expected. I knew the Panthers were going to go far. I just thought with the additions that the Canes made that they might be able to take Florida down. But this year, like I said, I've been sticking with the Oilers, and I'm not bailing on them at this point. So I am predicting the Edmonton Oilers will win the Stanley Cup. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a real good, entertaining series. I'm going to say probably in 6 games, win Game 6 back in Edmonton. The Cup will return to Canada for the first time since 1993. I know a lot of people say the Oilers are Canada's team. I don't really look at it that way. A lot of people that are Canadian would love to see a Canadian team win. I think it really boils down to where your allegiance falls. Like I know Leaf fans are probably not going to cheer for the Oilers. Canucks fans are not going to cheer for the Oilers. I think that whole Canada's team thing gets a bit more overblown than a lot of people really think, especially if you're an American and you kind of hear that. It might seem strange to you because you have so many teams in the U.S. Not like you're going to have that issue, right? You're not going to be that. Oftentimes it's U.S. team versus U.S. team, so you don't have a team representing your country, so to speak. But Canadians as a whole love hockey, and I think at this point a lot of Canadians, regardless of where their fan allegiance lies, would like to see a Canadian team win, and just to have it north of the border for a change, because it's been way too long. But you're going to get a lot of hardcore fans that do cheer for different teams that just can't do it. But I think it really boils down to who the Canadian team is, and certain groups of those fans will kind of be bandwagon fans that'll root for them, even though that's not their main team. Like you might see maybe some either Jets or Sens, Habs fans maybe cheer for the Oilers, but you're probably not going to get the Leafs and the Canucks, or the Flames for that matter. I highly doubt it. So you might get half the country cheering maybe for Edmonton, but really the whole Canada's team thing, it really doesn't exist. It's kind of, to me, something that gets way overblown in the media. So at the end of the day, like I said, it's going to be a hard-fought series. Lots to like in both teams. They both deserve to be where they are. It's going to be a combination of Edmonton's offense against the Florida Panthers goaltending, Bobrovsky, and their D-core. Like I said, injuries could end up playing a role here as the series goes on. That's hard to predict. The PK for the Oilers, though, have been phenomenal. That can continue, and they can keep blocking shots and playing that strong team defense like they've been playing and scoring at the rate they've been playing. I just don't think even a team like Florida can stop them. Although, if there is a team out there that can do it, it would be them. Like I said, this is one of the things I would like to see Edmonton win. I'm predicting them to win. I would not be completely shocked if it went the other way. Florida is a really good team. They've been here before, and they've got a lot of good players that can lead them to victory. So we'll see. It should be a real fun, entertaining series. Let me know your picks for the Stanley Cup down in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to this channel, of course, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with the latest news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.